I'm Erica, and this is Fairy, and welcome to the Linnie Lady. I wanted to talk to you about Parrot biting. So 2 days ago, Fairy gave me her first genuinely hard bite. She was on my head, and I wanted her to get off, so I asked her to step up, and she decided that my head was a worthy perch that she did not want to give up, and she bit me quite hard. I thought this was the perfect opportunity to talk about something that almost every companion bird owner eventually deals with, which is biting. Why do your birds bite? What should we do when it happens? And how does behavior change as a Linnie grows up and eventually reaches sexual maturity? A bite is behavior, and a bite has context. Fairy may have just been comfortable where she was, overstimulated, not ready to move, or she may simply be reaching the age where she's beginning to have stronger preferences and learning that she can say, no, I don't really want to do that. She's still a juvenile, so I would not automatically blame the one hard bite as hormonal. And that's important. If we blame every bite on hormones, we miss the actual communication that's happening right in front of our eyes. Birds bite. So we know that our bird friends don't have hands. They use their beaks to touch, feel, explore, balance, play, climb, communicate, and defend themselves. So first we have to separate normal beak use from a true and actual bite, which Fairy did give me. A bird may bite because they're afraid, startled, guiding a space, overexcited, uncomfortable, with handling, protecting something valuable, like my head that day, or because earlier signals asking us to back off were not noticed. I couldn't see what was happening with Fairy on top of my head, but if you can, try to notice your bird's body language before the bite to figure that out. Did your bird lean away from you? Did it freeze? Did it move away from your hand? Did it become intensely focused on you? Did you ask for the same behavior several times? Were they in a favorite or a difficult to leave situation? Those details matter. So for Fairy, she got suspended from being on my head perch for the rest of the week. And so I constantly had to redirect her with my finger and a treat to step down from being in the higher position on my head. Fairy bit me. I did make a small yelp sound, right? Because it pinched. And really the best thing to do is to not do that. So I may make mistakes too. A pain response is a totally normal response, but what we don't want is that to be to make them more excited. So you don't want to be like, ow, because they'll read your tone and read that it's something exciting. It's almost like a reward. Try not to turn the bite into a dramatic event. Sometimes that's not possible. Don't yell. Punish them, flick the beak, grab the beak. Now, if they are close enough to you, you can blow on their beak and try to get them, especially if they're clamped on, try to get them off, like a little and a no, and a firm no. But punishment doesn't teach the behavior that I actually want to teach. For example, if Fairy doesn't want to step up from my head, I don't want to get in a battle with a little 50-gram parrot with a pinching bite. I can change my position, offer a familiar perch, use a high value reinforcement, like grab her favorite treat and, lure her a little bit to step up onto my finger, or give her a moment to just try again. Training should give the bird a way to be successful, and when possible, I want Fairy choosing to participate. Talk about the part that gets blamed for a lot of parrot behavior, which is hormones. According to the Lineated Parakeet Society, Linnies begin sexual maturity at around 1 year of age. That doesn't mean the switch flips on their first birthday. And individual birds can show reproductive type behaviors earlier or later. It means that a 3 or 4 month old Linnie and a sexually mature adult Linnie are at very different developmental stages. To think about the stages are that baby or a juvenile like Fairy is learning the world, learning their social skills, their handling, and their communication. An adolescent is increasing independence. They have stronger preferences and lots of learning about what works and what works for them. A sexually mature adult has reproductive hormones that can now influence their behavior, and particularly when environmental conditions encourage breeding. That would be having dark spaces, nesting material, of the light cycle, and behavior can include increased territoriality, nest seeking, shredding, burrowing, regurgitating to a person or an object, sexual posturing, rubbing, favorite area, and sometimes increasing biting or frustration. But hormones aren't a personality disorder. A hormonal bird isn't suddenly a bad bird. Reproductive biology is our normal biology, and our job with a companion bird is to avoid accidentally encouraging this reproductive cycle. I avoid giving Fairy huts, nest boxes, or any little dark caves to claim. She has no hut in her cage, nothing that she can burrow into. And even though the Linnies are famously cuddly, which she is, I keep the petting primarily to her head and her neck. Down the back, under the wings, and anywhere near the rump or the vent can be interpreted as a sexual interaction for a bird. So we just keep happy scritches here. And I do handle her wings. This is different than handling her wings, just getting her comfortable for, handling or, trying to teach her to lift her wings. Those are different. That's different. We're not rubbing, we're not stimulating anything in our bird. If you have a female like I do, remember that she doesn't need a male present to produce eggs. Repeated egg laying can cause a medical issue. So significant reproductive behavior or egg laying is something that you need to discuss with your avian veterinarian. And remember, especially female birds need extra calcium, minerals, and vitamins. What worried me a little bit with Fairy was I was kind of dreading this adolescent age, which she's starting now. She's almost, I want to say 10 weeks old, 12 weeks old. And I think it's important when you bring home a baby Linnie that you know that your sweet baby bird developing opinions doesn't mean that you've ruined your relationship. This relationship is changing because your bird is growing up. This is exactly why I love starting cooperative training early, step up, stationing, recall, moving comfortably between perches, and learning that good choices are reinforced, much like a toddler. Fairy's recent new trick is target training. So today she was a little bit afraid of the target and I had to just sit and feed her with it. Ended up successfully with her doing a target touch. So it's just stepping out of the side of the box and letting them use their brain, keeping them active, keeping them busy, and especially during this age. I don't want Fairy to obey because she's afraid of what happens if she doesn't. I want us to develop a language together where I can recognize her boundaries and where she understands what I'm asking. So when I started the target introduction, she flew away a couple times and I realized, okay, that's too much pressure. So I separated it and moved it farther away from her and I just sat while she ate and I slowly brought it towards her until she was comfortable and it ended up in a great little successful training moment. She did touch the target. So you have to be a little aware of your bird and your bird's needs and make those adjustments for them. And it's not just training pressure. It could be handling pressure, social environment pressure, pressure with certain family members. You have to learn your bird, and that's the fun part. Fairy's first bite wasn't a disaster. It was information. It gave me another little piece of her language to learn, and honestly, it was a perfect lesson for me to film for the Linnie lady. If your bird is starting getting a little bit spicy, you're welcome to tell me their age and what was happening right before the bite in your comments, and if you'd like, I can do a follow-up video specifically on reading Linnie body language before a bite happens. So I hope this was helpful for you, and don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for joining us on Fairy Fridays at the Linnie Lady. Touch, good girl.